The room smelled like ozone, ego, and overconfidence. 5 units on the Deathworlder not making it past minute 15, croaked a sorry cadet with a chittering grin. You're on, growled a 4-armed Irian from the back, tapping a talon on the reinforced Durasteel bench. But I'm not betting on her dying. I'm betting on her breaking something on the way out. The command deck of the Galactic Military Academy's simulation arena was abuzz with interspecies cadets, eyes glued to the circular viewing chamber in the center. Inside stood a lone human, dark hair tied back in a practical braid, lean and muscular, wearing the basic cadet uniform like she couldn't be bothered to care if it was regulation. Her arms were crossed, and her head was tilted, as if evaluating the death trap laid out before her was about as stressful as deciding between 2 sandwich fillings. Her name was Cadet Riley Holt. She was the only human in her class. She was also the first human to be invited, and the first to be dared, to take the Corvanian escape test. And at this moment, Commander Vextol was loving every second of the anticipation. The 8-foot Corvanian instructor towered above the rest of the viewing platform, his body covered in tight chitinous armor that glistened in the sterile light. His voice boomed with unearned amusement as he addressed the audience. The Corvanian escape chamber is a rite of honor among elite cadets. It simulates entrapment within a hostile warship, complete with shifting architecture, defensive countermeasures, and kinetic maze barriers. The current record is held by Cadet Sorix of Threxia, 8 minutes, 43 seconds. There were respectful murmurs from the crowd. Sorix, sitting nearby, gave a smug nod, his breathing gills fluttering. You will all observe, Vextol continued, how the Deathworlder fares. Inside the chamber, Riley yawned. She didn't do it for effect. She was just bored. The countdown began. Lights dimmed. The door to the chamber hissed shut with a theatrical clang. 30:00 blinked onto the large wall display, and then the room reconfigured. Walls slid inward, panels rotated, and what had been a simple entry corridor turned into a shifting metallic hell maze. Plasma pulses sparked across motion sensors. Harmonic locks hummed with high-frequency tones designed to scramble cognitive processing. A sliver of mist hissed out from the walls, Corvanian neuroconfusion gas, non-lethal but disorienting. The first minute passed with Riley, just standing there. She was watching, calculating. Commander Vextol leaned forward with his arms behind his back, claws tapping slowly. She is frozen, he observed smugly. No, muttered one of the Irian observers, narrowing his 6 eyes. She's mapping it. Inside the chamber, Riley's eyes darted from vent to panel, from shifting floor tile to humming sensor. Her lips moved slightly, counting. Then, at 28:41, she moved. Fast. So fast, the sensors almost didn't register it. She lunged forward, ducked under a sweeping kinetic arm, pivoted left, and slammed her boot into a floor plate that had just started to rise. The mechanism reversed. Gas flooded in. She held her breath, slapped the next panel. The harmonic tone shifted. That was not the correct sequence. No alien cadet had ever done that. But Riley wasn't trying to follow the rules. She was rewriting them. Commander, said one of the instructors quietly, she's forcing the chamber to enter its reset protocol without triggering the lockdown. That's not in the manual. She's guessing, Vextol snapped, though his tone was suddenly tight. Inside the room, Riley grabbed a mechanical maintenance arm from the wall, a tool meant to mislead cadets into wasting time, and ripped it from its socket with a grunt. The chamber shuddered. A klaxon sounded. She just broke the coolant vent, muttered Sorix, half standing. She's forcing the system to route power away from the security grid. She's hacking it, the Irian confirmed. With a stick. Back inside, Riley jabbed the metal arm into the floor grate, wedging it so the next kinetic spike didn't rise. She vaulted over the jammed grate, ducked under a drone turret, and shoulder-rammed the next door, meant to only open after solving a complex musical lock. It exploded off its hinges. At 27:51, she sprinted across the final corridor, her path illuminated with flickering hazard lights and confused system pings. And then she was at the exit. It hissed shut in front of her. Commander Vextol smirked. Now we'll see if she knows how to... Riley punched the wall. literally punched the wall. The entire crowd recoiled as the outer section of the chamber buckled, dented inward like someone had driven a transport into it. Sparks flew, and then, with one more shoulder slam, Cadet Riley Holt burst out of the side of the Corvanian escape chamber like a human wrecking ball. The wall groaned, then collapsed. Dust. Silence. Then coughing. Then Riley emerged, brushing dust from her sleeve. She looked around at the stunned audience and tilted her head. What? I didn't see a no-punching rule. She walked over to the observation console, grabbed someone's drink, didn't even ask, and took a sip. Then looked up at the clock. 27:56. There was a moment of silence so complete it felt sacred. And then someone whistled. A slow, reverent whistle. Then the entire viewing platform erupted in howls, screams, curses, and applause. Commander Vextol stared, his mandibles twitching. She broke the simulator, someone muttered. She literally broke it. Sorix just slumped back into his seat. No one's beating that. Riley raised the drink and smiled. Anyone know if there's a record for shortest escape plus unintentional demolition? 'Cause I'm claiming that one too. She didn't wait for a response. She turned around, heading toward the showers, muttering something about breakfast. No fanfare, no drama. Just another day for a Deathworlder who saw every galactic test not as a threat, but as a warm-up. Commander, the simulation chamber is gone. Lieutenant Drex, a small, six-eyed technician with nervous limbs and a tendency to sweat through his uniform fabric, was standing at the threshold of what used to be the Corvanian escape chamber. Now, it resembled a crime scene after a rampage. Twisted metal, sparking consoles, a partially collapsed ceiling, and in the center, a lone boot print embedded in the wall panel like a fossil left by a very annoyed demigod. Commander Vextol's eye ridges twitched. I can see that, Lieutenant. Yes, sir, but officially, in the systems log, what should I mark as the cause of human error? Vextol snapped, arms crossed, mandibles clenching. And by that I mean error in allowing a human into the chamber in the first place. There was a long pause. Drex coughed awkwardly. Sir, the entire cadet wing is now referring to it as the Holt event. Vextol's glare could have melted titanium. Meanwhile, across the academy mess hall, Cadet Riley Holt was enjoying a plate of whatever the kitchen bots had decided to classify as breakfast today. She'd piled 3 different protein units onto her tray, a heap of starchy cubes the aliens called Sustenance Supplement Variant 14, and had carved out a bowl in the middle of it to pour syrup. From where? No one knew. She brought her own bottle. Across from her sat Cadet Zrin, a Tharkan with a lean skeletal frame and 2 mandibles that clicked together like drumsticks when he was nervous, which apparently he was right now. You broke the chamber, he whispered, glancing around as if uttering those words might summon Vextol himself. Yeah, Riley said, chewing thoughtfully. Didn't mean to. Thought the wall was hollow. It wasn't. Not totally. You beat the record by 6 minutes. Riley grinned. I know, and I didn't even try to rush it. Zrin made a small, strangled sound. Why would you not rush it? I thought there might be snacks hidden inside. Zrin stared. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Across the room, a group of Corvanian cadets had formed a huddle. Normally, they walked tall and proud, their armor polished, and their movements full of that species-wide superiority complex they all seemed to be born with. Today, they looked confused, hurt even. She punched her way out. She punched the chamber and left through the wall. No one does that. A smaller cadet whispered, I heard she tasted the neurogas to figure out its composition. Back at the observation tower, a meeting had been called. Chancellor Myrix, an upper-level administrator with the weary eyes of someone who had overseen 2 centuries of cadets and only ever needed a headache balm twice, was now on his 3rd dose in one morning. I'm sorry. Let me get this straight, he said, massaging his temple. You ran the standard Corvanian test. The human entered, and instead of navigating the sequence, she bypassed the logic mechanisms, jammed the floor grates, brute-forced the gas vents, and escaped by destroying the structural integrity of the simulator itself. Yes, Commander Vextol said, his voice hollow. Did she cheat? No. Did she violate any established protocol? No. Did she survive? Yes. Did she? She escaped in 2 minutes and broke my chamber, Vextol snapped, slamming a fist on the table. The chamber we've used for over 80 years, with no failures, no breaches, no tampering, and she broke it like it was drywall. Chancellor Myrix leaned back, scribbled something in his notes, and took a sip from his thermos. I think, he said slowly, we're going to need a new kind of exam. Across the campus, rumors spread like wildfire. It started with whispers. Did you hear? The Deathworlder broke the escape chamber. Then it escalated. She escaped in 2 minutes. She wasn't even out of breath. She was singing. By mid-afternoon, someone had already uploaded footage from the observation deck to the Academy's intra-network. It was titled, When a Human Decided the Walls Were Optional. It had over 40,000 views in an hour. The comment section was a battlefield. Why didn't she trigger the barrier harmonics? Because she didn't need to. She punched the harmonics. No way she wasn't enhanced. No one can survive that gas. Humans breathe worse every time they clean their kitchens. Is this normal for her species? Apparently, she's considered well-adjusted. Commander Vextol reviewed the footage on loop, each time flinching when the wall caved in. I hate her, he muttered. Meanwhile, Riley had been summoned to an informal evaluation. She walked into the room eating an apple. Chancellor Myrix raised an eyebrow. Cadet Holt. Mornin'. You were asked here to provide an account of the damage you caused to the Corvanian escape chamber. I was escaping. There were doors. They didn't open. They were part of a timed test, not an invitation to demolish our property. I was timed. I passed. Record time, if I'm not mistaken. Chancellor Myrix closed his eyes. Do you have to be like this? Riley looked thoughtful for a second, then nodded. Yeah, kinda do. There was silence. Then a strange sound. Chancellor Myrix was laughing. Fine, he said, shaking his head. You win this one. But the next trial won't be so destructible. I look forward to it, Riley said, tossing her apple core perfectly into a distant trash receptacle. It landed with a ping. Of course it does, Myrix muttered. Outside, cadets were gathering near the damaged chamber, now cordoned off with warning signs and glowing barriers. Someone had set up a sign that read, Warning, Deathworlder hazard. Use doors like a normal being. Next to it, a small plaque had been nailed into the wall. Cadet Riley Holt, fastest escape. Unintentional renovation specialist. Word of her feat had already begun to spread beyond the Academy. Off-world forums, military channels, even deep space fleets were now buzzing with one question. What else could humans break their way out of? The answer? Everything. By the next rotation, Riley Holt was famous. No, not just within the Galactic Military Academy. She was trending across 23 planetary networks, 3 black market comm feeds, and one particularly sketchy Caraxian meme server simply called breakthings.ftl. Her fame, of course, was completely unintentional. Riley, groaned Zrin, her exasperated Tharkan roommate, you're on the Morning Star show. That's a new satire program for civilians. Riley, still in her academy sweats and eating out of a bag labeled Emergency Snack Puffs, Class 4 caloric bombs, waved at the screen like it was her grandma's birthday livestream. Hey, look at that. They got my side profile. Pretty good lighting too. Zrin pinched the bridge of his nasal ridge. They drew you with lasers coming out of your fists. You don't have laser fists, Riley shrugged. Not yet. Meanwhile, in the heavily fortified war chambers of the Corvanian High Command, things were tense. This human cadet must be evaluated, snarled General Vosk, his voice like a freight train scraping a chalkboard. We already did, said Sub-Admiral Kren, gesturing helplessly at the footage on the main screen. Riley's form blurred across the screen, dodging traps, rerouting obstacle drones by physically yeeting them into each other, and finally, shoulder-checking the simulation wall like it owed her money. Vosk's jaw twitched. Number I mean really evaluated. We must determine if she is a weapon. Kren winced. She's 18. Vosk's narrowed all 4 eyes. So were half the Terran Spartans. No one corrected him, because they'd already looked into that part of Earth's history. It gave entire war councils panic attacks. Back at the academy, Commander Vextol was putting together a task force. "Cadet Holt," he said stiffly, "you've been selected to participate in a multi-species tactics demonstration." "Cool," Riley replied, balancing a spoon on her nose. "It is not for fun." "Still cool. You will be teamed with elite cadets from the Drask, Valari, and Corian battalions." Riley perked up. "Are those the guys with the armor that looks like someone skinned a tank?" "Yes." "Dope." Vextol's eye twitched violently. The day of the demo, the arena was packed. Galactic brass filled the upper seats. Ambassadors, generals, weird floating bureaucrats with 17 eyes and a fondness for redundancy. The course was called the Gauntlet of Unity, a maze filled with team-based puzzle mechanisms, surprise enemy drones, and terrain designed to test cooperation among diverse species. Riley's team entered the starting zone. The Drask, a towering mass of organic armor and growling subsonics, snorted. "She's small." Riley grinned up at him. "You're tall. Great, we've established the basics." The Valari, a crystalline being with pulsing inner lights, chimed softly. "Human, please remain behind. You are structurally awesome," Riley interrupted. "Let's go." The timer sounded. They were off, and for the first 90 seconds, it was chaos. The Corian tried to brute force a rotating door puzzle. The Drask kept arguing with the targeting AI. The Valari got stuck in a logic loop analyzing theoretical outcomes of every possible path. Riley blinked, took it all in and said, "Right, y'all talk, I'll win." She ran straight through the puzzle corridor, launched off the Valari's angled shoulder crystal, kicked a drone mid-air, redirected its crashing body into the rotating platform's motor core, short-circuited the locks, and used the exploding debris to catapult over a laser trap. She landed in a perfect combat roll. A red light flashed. Stage 1, complete. From the observation deck, a Kelnari admiral choked on his own tentacle. "That was illegal." "No," muttered Chancellor Myrix, sipping calmly from a new mug labelled "World's Most Tolerant Bureaucrat." "That was human." Back in the arena, the other team members finally caught up. The Drask looked stunned. "You used me as a ramp." "Teamwork," Riley said brightly. "I weigh 700 pounds. "Excellent stability." The Valari's internal light pattern was flickering rapidly. "That was not an approved method, but it worked." "It did," the Valari admitted, then added with a note of wonder, "Humans are terrifying." The final stage involved crossing a gravity drift field. Everyone overthought it. Riley just tied a cord to the drone's remains, used the field's polarity to slingshot across the expanse, and waved as she passed the hovering observers. They stared. She winked. The arena declared the demo finished, 7 minutes early. Vextol looked like he might actually combust. The cadets returned to the prep area, breathless. The Drask leaned over, massive shoulders hunched. What are you?" Riley tilted her head. "I'm from Minnesota." The Valari sparkled faintly. "Is that a death world?" "Only in winter." That night, Riley was sitting under the stars on the academy rooftop, eating dehydrated marshmallows and watching the moons shift overhead. Zrin climbed up beside her. "You broke another thing." "Didn't mean to." "You beat the Gauntlet of Unity. That's been running for decades. Entire military divisions use it to train." "Yeah?" "You broke it." Riley popped a marshmallow into her mouth. "Guess they'll have to unify faster next time." There was a long silence. Then Zrin sat down beside her, folding his long limbs carefully. "You know," he said, "there's a betting pool on how long it takes before the Academy rewrites the handbook because of you." Riley grinned. "They're going to need a whole chapter." The next morning, they changed the handbook. Section 9, Human Cadet Protocols. Subsection A, Riley Holt. Subsection B, if she's on your team, don't try to lead, just follow and pray. On day 1, the faculty called it overkill, By day 3, they were considering making it interstellar law. Commander Vextol personally summoned Riley to the council chamber, where the top instructors of the academy sat like an ancient tribunal. Each species representative had a face that screamed, "We don't know what to do with this." She walked in with a juice box. "Cadet Holt," Vextol growled, "do you know why you're here?" "Because I beat the impossible course, made teamwork look like a solo speedrun, and scared half the galaxy by accident." A long pause. "That is disturbingly accurate." She sipped her juice box louder. "We are assigning you," said the Valari instructor, "to a mentorship program." Riley blinked. "Wait, you want me to teach?" "To cadets from volatile interspecies factions, ones who can't stop fighting long enough to complete basic orientation." "You're serious?" The Drask commander leaned forward. "They need someone who can unify them. You broke them into submission." "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." 3 days later, she stood in front of her new team, a brood of chaos. One glared with acidic compound eyes. Another slithered around every wall like a caffeine-addled pipe. The largest of them, the Varkan, crushed a datapad just by breathing too hard. Riley clapped her hands. "All right, maniacs. Welcome to Deathworlder Diplomacy 101. I'm Riley Holt, your instructor/blunt instrument. Let's skip introductions. Who here has tried to kill someone in the past 48 hours? Every hand and one tail went up. "Perfect," she said, smiling. "You'll fit right in." The first exercise was called Bridge the Divide. It involved crossing a ravine using only 3 supplies, a plank, a rope, and each other's patience. Within 2 minutes, the Varkan tried to eat the rope. "Hey!" Riley barked. "We chew after we solve the problem." "It looked weak," the Varkan hissed. "That's you after cardio." He blinked, growled, and stepped back. The rest of the team stared. Riley pointed at the plank. "Okay, glitterbugs, new plan. Who here can throw me across this gap?" By week's end, her squad not only built a suspension bridge with their bare hands, they added a coffee station and a trap door with passive-aggressive signage that read, "Don't fight here, or do, we'll win." The transformation didn't go unnoticed. From the upper balconies of the academy, instructors watched the most volatile species in the galaxy laughing together. "Is that the Scrath and the Julian playing chess?" one asked in horror. "They were mortal enemies 3 days ago." "They still are," muttered the instructor beside him, "but now they're buddies about it." Riley's legend grew. Every simulation thrown at her team, they passed with flying debris. The obstacle maze? They burned it down and invented hover parkour. The stealth trial? They built camouflage suits from cafeteria tablecloths and ambushed the simulation instructors. At one point, a real hostile infiltration drill was triggered. Riley and her squad finished it before the alarm stopped sounding. When asked how, she replied, "They underestimated my team." Again. The Valari instructor pulled her aside. "You are changing things." "I'm not doing anything special." "No," the Valari replied, his voice flickering. "You're just being human, and that is what terrifies them." By the end of the month, a new challenge was issued, one designed specifically to stop Riley Holt. It was called the Leviathan Test, a full-scope, multi-phase battle simulation featuring unpredictable terrain, AI enemy combatants, and a roaming mechanized death machine named Zernith the Undying. No cadet had ever survived past Phase 4. Riley's team stood at the entrance, wearing mismatched armor, duct-taped shoulder pads, and confidence you could taste through a screen. She gave them the speech. "Listen up, weirdos. This thing was designed to make us quit, cry, fail. They named it after a galactic war engine." She cracked her knuckles. "Let's make it extinct." The siren screamed. The walls dropped. Zernith's mechanical roar echoed through the simulation dome, and the chaos began. But this time, Riley didn't just adapt. She danced. She leapt onto moving platforms, surfed a broken terrain slab into an enemy wave, and redirected the entire defense grid using a bent antenna and spit. Her squad. They followed like it was muscle memory, because she taught them not how to fight, but how to trust. As the final drone collapsed, and the dome lights turned green. A voice echoed from above. Test complete. Leviathan unit deactivated. New record, 7 minutes, 9 seconds. Commander Vextol's eye twitched so hard it might have left his skull. Back in the dorms, Zrin looked up from his screen. They're renaming the Leviathan test. Oh, Riley asked, brushing dust off her boot. Yeah, he said, rotating the holographic headline. It read, The Riley Run. Riley grinned. Nice. The Academy Grand Hall had never seen such chaos, and that's saying something for a place that once hosted a diplomatic dinner where two rival empires brought nukes instead of wine. Today, however, was worse. Why? Because Riley Holt was graduating, and every instructor, commander, political ambassador, and distant third cousin of the Galactic Council wanted to know one thing. What the hell is she going to do next? Riley stood in the staging area, wearing a uniform that had been patched up more times than the Academy cafeteria's food processor. Her boots still had ash from the Leviathan test. Her left shoulder bore the insignia of every squad she'd reformed, and her right hand held a protein bar. Are you seriously eating during lineup? Zrin asked, adjusting his custom visor that she helped build out of 2 calculators and a blender. Fuel, she mumbled. I'm about to walk across a stage where every species here either wants to recruit me or assassinate me. Got to keep the blood sugar up. You think too casually about politics. Yeah, she said. That's what keeps me alive. The headmaster began the ceremony. Today we honor the graduating class of the 9134th cycle. An unprecedented year, a disruptive year, one we will never, ever forget. Cue awkward glance at Riley. Names were called, cheers echoed, species hissed, clicked, and waved in their own ways. Then, Riley Holt of Earth. Silence. Then an avalanche of reactions. Some cadets applauded with genuine admiration. Some of the older species scowled, visibly clenching their prehensile fists or tentacles. A few started whispering, "There goes the one who humiliated the Leviathan, who reprogrammed the Corvanian trials with chewing gum." Riley walked like she wasn't just crossing a stage, she was walking off a battlefield, victorious. When she received her scroll, the High Chancellor herself handed it over, hesitating slightly. "You understand," the Chancellor whispered. "You've destabilized half of our metrics." "Yeah," Riley said, leaning closer, "but I stabilized a dozen interspecies squads." "Call it even?" The Chancellor stared at her for a long second, then, unthinkably, nodded. Behind them, someone from the Varkan delegation muttered, "Make her emperor." Riley didn't go to the after-party. She never liked parties where the drinks fizzed in 6 languages and one misstep could be declared a galactic insult. Instead, she slipped away to the training yard. There, under the pale blue dome of the Academy's simulated moon, she found her old team waiting. Zrin was there, holding a cake made of compressed nutrient paste and what looked suspiciously like soldering resin. "Is that edible?" she asked. "No," he said, "but it's us." She laughed, the kind of laugh you only have when the war is over and you're still standing. They sat, ate the parts of the cake that didn't require a hazard permit, and reminisced. "You really think you'll join the Earth Fleet?" asked Lauro, a 2-eyed shadow beast who now quoted human sitcoms and cried during reruns of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Riley leaned back. "Maybe, or maybe I'll start my own." "Fleet?" "School." They blinked. "For humans?" "For everyone," she said. "Deathworlder or not. Anyone who wants to learn how to survive the impossible and laugh while doing it." Zrin raised a non-existent eyebrow. "What would you call it?" She smiled. "The Holt Initiative." Years later, the name Riley Holt became something more. In training simulations across the stars, instructors warned, "If you think it's hard, remember, Riley Holt beat this course in her sleep. Twice." In politics, treaties were signed between warring species, citing joint experience under Holtian command. In war zones, soldiers didn't say, "We can do this." They said, "What would Riley do?" And somewhere, deep in the frontier planets, a new academy rose. Its motto, "Run like hell, think like Holt." Graduates from that academy didn't just survive, They rewrote the rules, one Deathworlder at a time,